enlighten us about some of the parliamentary procedures that we should follow in our meetings and outside in any formal meeting. Kindly join me in welcoming DTM Ali Shahbaz to provide us with his presentation.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, DTM Tanaji. Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, my good friends from Bahrain, Region 11, and from Region 13, as I see somebody has joined us from Region 13 as well. A very good morning to everybody. I'll just have a quick recap of what we already discussed. I pinned the timer already. Okay. We discussed about parliamentary procedures. We started parliamentary procedures series. This is the fourth one. And we discussed so much about subsidiary motions. For those who are joining us today who might have missed the previous three sessions, here is what we discussed: basics of parliamentary procedures, who founded parliamentary procedures, a few definitions or understanding few terms, especially quorum or motion. I remember in Kuwait, I asked one question which was quite funny. I asked that what to have 50% plus one members in attendance to vote. Is it called quorum or khurram? And people voted khurram for the sake of fun. So it's not khurram, it's quorum. Can't forget that workshop. Why parliamentary procedures? As you can see on the screen, we discussed all this. A proper order of business, handling a motion properly. The 13 motions which we should know as leaders in Toastmasters. There are plenty more, but at least these 13 does the job to have efficient business sessions. We are discussing subsidiary motions. So we discussed the first four, and we have yet to discuss 5, 6, and 7. So we'll be going directly there. We discuss amend the motion, commit, or refer to a committee. I'll just minimize my screen. Okay, here it is. So postpone to a certain time, limit or extend the limits of a debate. Can anybody unmute yourself and quickly tell me what does this mean? Just by the name of the motion itself, limit or extend limits of debate. Anybody, please?
The time which we take to debate on the particular motion.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good answer, and it's the best answer. So here is what happens in most of the meetings we see. We go off track, sometimes off topic. Sometimes we realize the agenda time promised is already gone. Our meeting was supposed to end at 10 p.m., but we are already 11:30 p.m. And that really happened many a times in those days when we were not following parliamentary procedures. I was in this meeting, which was 8 to 10, but we went home around 11:45. We left the venue that day because of lots of discussion and we couldn't get to the point. So here is where this motion becomes very important: limit or extend the limits of the debate. So as you see, the purpose is very much what I told you. It's to limit the discussion to a certain time frame, or sometimes the president or the district director can just say, I will allow two more speakers from here, from affirmative side, and two more speakers from the, I wouldn't say negative, but opposing side. So that's all, not more than this. There are different ways the president or the presiding officer can deal with this. Once somebody is going to state this motion, we cannot interrupt the person. It needs to be seconded. It is not debatable. Yes, it can be amended. Okay. Here is something new that we are learning today. In the previous motions, we had just 50% of the members voting for it to approve or disapprove. This time it's two-thirds. Why do you think it's two-thirds? Any logical reason behind this? Anyone?
Majority of the people have a say.
Majority of the people have a say, but they still have a say even when we say 50% plus one. So when I discuss this with other parliamentarians, well-known parliamentarians, so we reach to a conclusion that sometimes to limit or to extend the debate, it can harm the interest of the minority. So here is where Robert Rules of Order wants to make sure that at least two-thirds are happy with this. One-third will complain, but at least we have two-thirds who say, yes, let's limit it or let's extend the debate. Okay, so we don't have any unfairness because 50% plus one can be easy to achieve, but two-thirds is a little harder. An example, I move that debate on the pending motion be limited to 10 minutes. A member can just get up and say that I move that debate on the pending motion be limited to 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. What we learned in previous session, in the first one, especially whenever a member states the motion, and if it is seconded, what comes after that? Anyone? So the motion is stated, seconded by member B. So what happens after that?
It's put to vote.
Yeah. What's the next step? So we have a member who stated the motion. The motion is seconded. This motion must be seconded, just like many others. What's the next step?
Debate. To read it out.
Who said that?
I said to read out the motion, to reinstate it.
Yes, perfect. To read out the motion, and that's the job of the presiding officer. So this step is normally missed in some meetings, but if the president does not read it out to the House, we can't call it a proper procedure being followed. We can't just jump into debate. The president has to read out what all has happened. If the president didn't note this, it's a very long motion. The president can take help of the admin manager if it is a district level, club secretary if it is at the club level, and similar fashion it goes to the area council or the division council. Okay. The next motion, previous question, it simply means closing a debate. Okay, we are done, enough, we cannot extend, we don't want to limit, we don't want to extend, just let's close this. So what do you think will happen in this motion? How many people can, or what's the percentage we are looking at from the active membership who can vote for this? Do you think it's going to be 50% plus one or two-thirds of the majority? Any answer?
I think this must be 50 plus one.
Okay. And who says two-thirds? So we have 50% plus one. I see Neil raising his hand. Okay. So let's see what it is going to be. I'll keep the surprise, but always remember in Robert Rules of Order, anything which comes as a bang, stop it, limit. No, we don't want to extend it. Motions of these nature normally falls in a bigger pool, which is two-thirds. Okay, let's see. It immediately closes the debate. Okay, it's understood. Cannot be interrupted. The speaker cannot be interrupted. It should be seconded. It's not even debatable. It's not even amendable. We cannot amend such motion. You know, it's right saying just close it. So it can't be amended. It needs two-thirds. Okay. An example, a member can say, I move the previous question. Now, sometimes some people might be very good in parliamentary procedures, even better than the presiding officer. So we have to respect the House. We don't have to just get up and say, if we know the presiding officer might be a new member, maybe just 3 years in Toastmasters and has become a president. Okay, of course, in 3 years, I haven't seen anybody becoming a district director, but maybe a president. Uh, and I've seen this happening in real, uh, in our clubs, that a past leader who is very good in parliamentary procedures wants to make a mockery out of the presiding officer and comes with very sophisticated words. I move the previous question knowing that the president might be confused, but it's okay. It's fine. There are people like this who would want to take advantage. We need to do our job by studying parliamentary procedures, at least the basic. But if we don't know, the presiding officer can always ask, can you elaborate your motion, please? I can't really understand. So please elaborate. Don't feel shy to do it. Okay. Now, this is a challenge. The president has to read the whole thing. Okay. And of course, reading is one thing. But if this motion says, if this motion or this motion is closing the debate anyway, we have to follow this by an action, and the action is immediately supposed to happen. So whoever is against this or whoever is in favor, rise. Whoever is not in favor, stay seated. Okay, or another way of doing it, whoever is in favor, get up. The secretary can count. Please take your seat. Whoever is against, now you stand up. The secretary can do the head count. Now, in the district level, this motion is kind of tricky. Okay, everybody stands up. So it's hard to count at times. The first 4 rows are standing up. How a district director is going to look all the way back. So here, there are some tricks which I came up with, especially large districts that I have governed as a parliamentarian. Okay, some people are very smart and they enjoy this extending and doing a mockery in the district council meetings. Okay, so best thing is division of assembly. Who are against, come on this side of the hall. Who are in favor, come this side of the hall. At least you can see the majority. Lay on the table the last motion of the day. DTM Claire, what? Okay, that's green. Okay. So lay on the motion. Now this is a motion which is lay on the table. Sorry, lay on the table is something similar to. We don't want to motion to fail. Okay, we might not have the right member who wants to speak against this, or he or she couldn't make it today. So let's put it in the shelf and bring it out in the next meeting. So here is what happened in one of the district council meetings. The district director didn't want this motion to be approved by a member. So what the district director did, the district director said herself, I lay the motion on the table and I finish it off. And people started complaining, district director, you can't do this. I mean, sorry, we don't accept it. And there was and I had to object to what has happened, though I wasn't a parliamentarian. Do you think the district director can lay the motion on the table? Anybody, please. Or the club president can lay the motion on the table?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. We have one yes. Any other opinions?
Yes.
So I gave a scenario on what happened in one of the district council. Um, we have one member saying, yes, it's fine. The presiding officer laying the motion on the table. Well, the presiding officer cannot bring up a motion this way to the audience and decide by himself or herself already. We have an audience to do that job. Okay, so this was a uh, big issue in the district council where people still talk about it at times. It kind of became a joke. So the presiding officer cannot state motions. It's the job of the people to do that. We as presiding officers, we are simply facilitators. We can encourage somebody to do it, but we cannot make such motions at all, okay? Or any motion, for example, okay? So here is the purpose: to interrupt business for some urgent reason. We cannot interrupt the speaker. It has to be seconded. It cannot be debatable. It cannot be amended. If majority says yes, lay it on the table, we lay it on the table. Okay, so any questions? Since time is short, we are open for questions. Any questions on the three motions what we discussed today? I think we have 5 minutes for question answers.
DTM Ali, how many people can actually debate? Is the number decided by the presiding officer? But
Well,
for instance, we said that no, only 2 people can do, or we will not debate further than 10 minutes. So because how many people can speak? This time when I was seeing in the international conference, when there was a debate, they were given the time. That only this much time, and they will talk for so many minutes.
In 2016, when we were the largest district in the world at that time, we had nearly 400 plus people attending the district council. So you can imagine me as a district director, I went crazy when people wanted to speak. At that time, I spoke to some parliamentarian, a licensed parliamentarian. So I got an advice how to handle such large councils, because everybody wants to speak in a council at times. So we have to get in touch with the timer or the admin manager and look at the agenda. So if in the agenda there are 2 sections, one is the old business, one is the new business. So we should see how much time has been given to both these segments, the old and the new business. And accordingly, the district director or the president can decide what's my time for this motion, how much I can give. And in this time, how many people I can allow. If I have 5 minutes for one motion, be it any motion, I can go for 2 speakers from both the sides. Now, what will happen if the majority, in case they are opposing the motion, they will say we are in majority, we need 5 speakers from our side. But as the presiding officer, we can tell them, sorry, we don't work that way. If you are in majority, you get 5 speakers, they are minority, they get 2. No, we will give equal opportunities, 2 from both sides, and both sides only 1 minute max. They cannot challenge the presiding officer, sorry, we don't agree with your idea. At least we have that authority as a presiding officer to do this. And this is what happens in many parliament houses. Looking at even Bahrain Parliament House, this is what happens: equal opportunities, same time for everybody. So this is the job of the presiding officer, to make sure that fairness is applied during the procedure. Any other question?
I think Toastmaster Osama has raised his hand. Toastmaster Osama, you have anything?
No, it's okay. When he was DTM Ali talking, I had a question, but he answered me. Thank you.
Okay, okay. So if no further questions, that's all from my side. In the next session, we are going to begin with other set of motion, privilege motions, and that's very important as well. Thank you very much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day, DTM Tanaji.